Responsibility for tax. This article defines who is legally responsible for the calculation, reporting, and payment of tax under the UAE VAT law. It establishes clear accountability for tax obligations across different types of taxable transactions, ensuring that each party involved understands their compliance duties. The provisions are expanded below. 1. Primary responsibility for tax on taxable supplies. Taxable person making supplies. The primary responsibility for charging, collecting, reporting, and paying tax applies to the taxable person who carries out any supply specified under Clause 1 of Article 2 of this decree law. B. This includes all taxable supplies made within the UAE, such as sale of goods for consideration, provision of taxable services, leasing or licensing of property, goods, or rights. Other transactions classified as taxable under the decree law. C. Who is a taxable person? A taxable person is any person or entity, natural or legal, that conducts business in the UAE, is registered or required to register for tax purposes. D. The taxable person must accurately calculate tax on each supply, issue compliant tax invoices, report the supplies in their periodic tax returns, remit the correct tax amount to the Federal Tax Authority, FTA, within the deadlines prescribed by law. 2. Responsibility for tax on imports. Importer of concerned goods. A. When concerned goods are imported into the UAE, the responsibility for reporting and paying tax falls on the importer. B. Who is the importer? The importer is the person or entity identified in the customs documentation as responsible for the import, which may be a business importing goods for resale, production, or use, an individual importing goods for personal use, an agent acting on behalf of another party. C. The importer must determine the correct taxable value of the goods, based on customs valuation rules. Pay the import VAT to the customs authority at the time of clearance, unless a deferred payment arrangement applies. Ensure that import records, invoices, and customs documentation are retained for compliance and audit purposes. D. Import tax applies unless the goods qualify for an exemption under special provisions. 0 rating. If the goods are part of a specific category such as certain international transportation goods. 3. Responsibility for tax on certain acquisitions. Registrant acquiring goods under Clause 3 of Article 48. A. This point addresses special situations where a registrant, a person registered for VAT, acquires certain goods from a supplier outside the UAE or under specific supply mechanisms. B. According to Clause 3 of Article 48 of the decree law, in certain cases, the recipient of the goods becomes responsible for accounting for the tax, commonly known as the reverse charge mechanism. C. The responsibility applies where goods are purchased from a supplier who is not resident in the UAE. The supplier is not required to register for UAEVAT. The recipient is a registered business in the UAE. D. The registrant acquiring the goods must self-account for VAT on the acquisition, i.e., calculate the tax as if they themselves were the supplier. Declare the tax on their VAT return. In certain cases, claim the input tax, if eligible, at the same time, resulting in no net tax payable. This mechanism ensures that VAT is properly accounted for in cross-border transactions where foreign suppliers do not have tax obligations in the UAE. 4. Importance of compliance and record keeping. A. Each responsible party must ensure they maintain complete and accurate records of all relevant transactions. Apply the correct tax rate and valuation method. Issue compliant invoices and customs documents. Submit timely tax returns and payments. B. Failure to comply may result in Administrative penalties. Reassessment of tax liabilities. Increased scrutiny or audits by the Federal Tax Authority. 5. Reference to related articles and guidance. A. This article works in conjunction with Article 2, Scope of Tax. Article 48, Special provisions for certain supplies and acquisitions. Relevant sections in the executive regulation and guidance documents issued by the FTA. B. Further clarifications and procedural requirements for importers and registrants are specified in customs regulations and tax procedural rules. 6. Legal obligation and direct liability. The obligations specified in this article represent legal obligations under UAE tax law. B. The responsible party, taxable person, importer, or registrant, is directly liable to the Federal Tax Authority for the correct reporting and payment of tax. C. Third-party errors, example, mistakes by freight agents, customs brokers, or suppliers, do not relieve the responsible party of their primary tax obligations. For more details, contact us.